The risk of loss in trading futures and options can be substantial. Therefore, only genuine risk funds should be used in such trading. Futures and options may not be a suitable investment for all individuals, and individuals should carefully consider their financial condition in deciding whether to trade. Option traders should be aware that the exercise of a long option will result in a futures position. Information herein has been obtained and prepared from sources believed to be reliable. Comments contained in these materials are not intended to be solicitation to buy or sell any of the commodities mentioned. Past performance is not indicative of any future performance. Opinions expressed here are the opinions of the author only, and not the opinion of any firm the author may be affiliated or associated with.
All right, welcome back to Commodity Classics. I've got Pete Iannacci here with me. He's co-hosting. And the reason he's co-hosting, if you haven't seen the first two segments, is because he's got some technology that we're going to start working to blend into Yorba TV, where you, the viewing audience, can come into our show in a streaming fashion and ask our experts questions through a streaming video rather than just the shout box. Yes, we're ahead of the curve on the shout box, but with Pete's help, it puts us way out into the next universe about where TV really is going, interactive TV.
Absolutely, and don't be shy. Click on the link. If you've got a camera, you can join us right now. And I know that this wasn't something we pre-announced, and maybe we should have, but for next week, we'll be able to do that. So go to the Squawk Box, look at the link, click on it. After you get there, type in Pete for your access code and hit caller, and you'll be in a call with us and can ask us a question live.
Right. Now let's bring on Hector Gavin, trading consultant of RJO Futures. We're going to talk about the FX industry sector this time. Hector, come on in. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, you must have a couple of brokers there in RJO Futures that'd like to heckle you out with coming on and asking you questions, right?
Well, no, it's just funny, you know. Past two times we've done the soft market's pretty strong, and now we're changing it up a little bit to the currency. But you know, it's been interesting how interesting we've shown in the past two times how correlated the currencies are to different commodities, and that's a good opportunity to kind of see how that is, how it works, and of course, hopefully cover a little bit of the carry trades that you've mentioned in the past as well.
All right. Now you wanted to talk about these carry trades, right?
Absolutely.
Which one did you want to talk about?
Well, we could talk about several. The first popular one that I really enjoy is the Japanese yen right now compared to the Australian dollar, for example.
Aussie yen?
Aussie yen is very popular right now.
You want me to bring that up?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to do that and on my equipment, and what I'm going to try to do is magnify it so that you can see it. Give me a second here and cancel that. There we go. There we go. Let me bring this magnifying thing up. What's your position on that while you're thinking about it? While I'm bringing.
Well, I'll begin by defining things, obviously, for anyone who's not familiar. And obviously, the carry trade is one where we look for a low-interest currency and a high-yielding currency. We sell the high-yielding, and I should say we borrow from the low-yielding currency and buy back from the high-yielding currency and catch the difference. Depending on your leverage, you can do very well on things as long as the risk aversion doesn't come back and kick you in the rear end. The reason Aussie yen is so popular right now is because you have the yen, Bank of Japan carrying 0.5% interest rate, and Bank of Australia, carrying about 7.25%, 7.5%. Last I checked.
I got a chart ready for you.
Perfect.
Don, let's see if you can bring that up. Okay, there you go. That's a longer-term chart on the Aussie yen. That's what I've seen going on. So you're looking to buy this thing?
Beautiful. Yeah, it's going to be one of those currencies or one of those carry trades that you want to continue to look at and at best jump into when you get an opportunity. Aussie is looking to catch parity with the U.S. dollar here in the next few weeks. Especially with the price of oil, we're looking at yen keeping their interest rates as there is because they're so dependent on things like oil. Their risk in regards to their economy really doesn't behoove them to raise their interest rates, and while the Bank of Australia has every reason to keep them steady, if not higher.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Any projections for price where you'd like to see this thing go?
Well, I'd like to see the trade widen out even more. I'd like to see people build their leverage up, but right now I would expect, like I said, Australian dollar to catch parity with the dollar, and interest rates through the Bank of Australia increase possibly even another 0.5 percentage point, while the yen stays idle where it stands, just improving the carry trade overall.
Okay. What other market are you liking these days? You're liking. You see where I got long this thing a while back. As a matter of fact, that date is November 24th. I've just been sitting in there drawing interest. When you play the carry trade, do you play it for interest too?
I do play it for interest.
Okay.
It's always important to take into account that there's a different variety of reasons why people play the carry trade as an investment, and interest is very important.
All right, my numbers on the interest are 123.54% if you're long the Aussie over the yen.
Right.
I like that stuff.
Absolutely. And I think you and I have talked about the past that at a certain point you put together an awesome list of carry trades, and there has to be a line in the sand that you draw that tells you, is this worth it or is it not? If I remember correctly, you said, below, was it 20%, 40%, that you don't get involved, but
20% for me.
20%. Yeah, I'm about the same lines. I think 30, 40%, because there's a lot of currencies out there that people are getting very involved with. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the rand right now, but the interest rate in South Africa is outrageous. There's a lot of people looking at Canadian rand right now as a carry trade, just because Bank of Canada is looking to lower their interest rate here, just with where their currency stands today and the price of oil. Mm-hmm. You catch the two, depending how leveraged you are, and again, you can find a very nice long-term trade to sit on, not only collect interest, but catch the difference.
All right, so now I don't have the Aussie rand in my family portfolio that I can deal with. I've got a U.S. South African rand. Are you looking to trade this rand? You want to buy it or you want to sell it?
Well, I'm looking at selling Canadian and buying rand. Selling
Canadian and buying the rand.
Right. Again, that's one that you could see become very popular in the next few weeks. Again, the speculation is that, again, Bank of Canada will lower their interest rate 1/4 to 1/2.
Right.
And that will make the carry trade that much more popular.
Okay. All right. Now that's just for that's not for an interest spread. That's for just a trade, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
That's for a profit trade. What's another one that you like?
Well, one that I've been looking at recently, and again, one thing that we have to look at with all carry trades, and I know you're familiar with risk aversion. A lot of people right now would argue that risk is at a discount when it comes to the currencies in these carry trades, that perhaps many investors have closed their eyes to the possibility of not only commodities shooting back, interest rates shooting back. People are leaving themselves wide open to perhaps losing a lot of the volatility in these carry trades that they so depend on. Again, this brings me back to that Canadian dollar. People have always looked at Swiss franc and Japanese yen as two good currencies to compete against risk aversion. I think that if you look at the Canadian yen and Canadian Swiss in the next following weeks, you'll find that these two currencies might be good examples of how to cover yourself going into the future.
Okay, so yeah, are you looking to buy the Canadian over the Japanese yen?
Thinking perhaps buy Canadian over Japanese yen.
Okay.
And then sell Canadian versus the Swiss franc.
Because I'm starting to get buy signals on the Canadian over the yen, and then sell Canadian over Swiss franc?
Right.
Okay.
Keep an eye on this one. This one's looking to take form in the next 4 to 5 weeks. But again, this is the time when everyone should do their homework and look at what will pay off in the next 90 days, 120 days.
Okay. Now let's switch gears on this FX stuff to show you what I've been working with, and maybe and that's the reason I bring people on here, so we actually can communicate with each other about our different ideas. And I'm going to tell you what I've come up with. The portfolio that I trade, I run my portfolio at about, right now running about 2.5 to 1, 2.25 to 1 on my leverage. Don, you bring my screen up here for a second. I'm running 12 pairs. And Don, if you could bring my screen up for a second, I'd like to see this before the segment ends. And I've got the portfolio diversified into 11 countries. And I'll bring this up, 12 pairs. I'm running, this is 114 million. I put these trades on, November, first time I put that trade on was about November 29th or 30th. And, no, actually more like the beginning of November. Haven't touched these things. I'm running at about 14% interest, 13.78% annual percentage rate. But here's the thing that I wanted to talk about. I called the bank. We've had a devaluation of the U.S. dollar. We can come back to me now for a second, Don, please. We've had a devaluation of the U.S. dollar by 18% relative to the euro. The best you can get on a 5-year CD lockup with a 6-month penalty is 4.40. So you're still losing about 13% if you just sit in CDs and you think you're in currencies. And so what I was wondering is there any funds out there where you've got people that have diversified the currencies amongst 12 countries and they're paying maybe 14% with a 2-to-1 leverage? Have you heard anything like that going on out there? Because I know you guys are more closer to the ground than I am in Chicago.
Well, no. I've heard a few things in regards to more FX funds building themselves up, but in regards to specifics on types of returns, I'd lay claim to ignorance there. The overall goal, though, is opening people's eyes to the fact that the FX is very important. The volatility in it now comes from so many changes in, the resources we use every day. Crude oil has been arguably a large factor in why the U.S. dollar has dropped off so much in the past week and a half. So if anyone, for example, is just sitting at home and saying to themselves, well, I could be kicking myself in regards to why my investments aren't doing good, or at the same time why I need to, why I'm paying so much at the pump, look at some of the things that we can, look at some of the things or the resources we use on an everyday basis that come back to things like the U.S. dollar.
Hector,
please.
We've got a caller, and we're finally going to get to experiment with this stuff. I want to bring our viewer in, if I'm doing this right, so that he can ask you a question. Is that right? Okay, we're going to put you on hold for a second and bring the viewer in. Can you listen and then answer his question for him?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do that. Let's bring in. What's the name of our guest? All right, Joe is our guest. And he's using the Esprit technology. Joe, you're coming to us over the web, right?
Yeah, excuse me?
You're coming to us over the web?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're using the Esprit technology that you got access through the shout box, right?
That's right.
Okay. Did you have a question for Hector? We were talking about FX currencies.
I was more interested in the technology because I didn't have a question. And my question for the technology, is this going to be used on your show for panel analysts and discussion of what's going on in the market through several different people?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, that's good. I mean, Pete, you can ask him a question. But the reason we bring this in is, I'm sorry, you can answer the question.
Yeah, good.
But the reason we do this is so that you can talk to our guest. But, Pete's just as much of a guest as Hector is. So go ahead and ask Pete the question.
Go ahead.
The technology that you have, is this actually going to be live streaming, and will the viewers be able to see it? Is there a population that goes out and using CDN networks, or do you use your own networks?
Well, this will run right over the internet, and what you're in right now is you logged into a browser, and you didn't need any special software. You needed a camera and a broadband connection, and you got connected into our network call, and you're being broadcast out over Michael's shows. So it really allows anybody at any time to. What normally Michael does is he has people on chat. IM chat over here asking questions, and I think as Michael goes forward with this type of technology, he's going to be able to bring people like you in to ask a specific question to one of the analysts that's talking about a financial issue, and essentially lets anybody who's got a really relevant question be part of the show to Michael's choosing. That's really what we're talking about here.
All right. Joe, is there anything else I can answer your question about?
I just noticed on the shout box that there was a gentleman who asked about the panel of analysts. Maybe that you could answer that through the tech, if you're planning to do that anytime soon.
I'd love to. I'd love to set it up. As a matter of fact, Hector, can you hear me still? Hector?
He's coming back, I think.
Okay, Hector, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, well, the caller who's just coming in through Pete's Technology, he wanted to know if we're able to set up a panel of experts that we can bring in through this technology, and then have access to the have our audience access them the same way Joe, the guest, or I should say that he's not a guest, he's our audience participant. So why don't you talk to Guy Schwartz over there and ask him if he's got a panel of experts we can set up or be a part of, that we would open this up so that the internet, people, the audience on the internet, can get on their videos and ask our guys, meaning you and the rest of the people from RJO Futures, see if they can answer these questions through this new medium of interactive TV.
And I'd like to interject something here just so you get a broader view of what we're talking about here. Those guests or those panelists can be anywhere in the world. They don't all have to be in your facility. So if you had 3 or 4 analysts that you wanted to correspond with in a panel discussion along with Michael, that'd be very easy to do with our technology.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he'll be overjoyed, and he'll find that that this, a future resource like this will be very worthwhile.
Yeah, so if you have people in Latin America or Switzerland or what have you, we can link them all up.
Yep.
They can all talk, and then we can open the audience to come in and streaming ask them questions. Is that right?
Well, yeah, that's for sure. But also, I know on your show you tape what we're seeing right now, and then people can go watch it that weren't able to see the live performance or the live show. So we'd archive the whole thing. So you'd archive all the different participants, and it'd be synchronized as if the show was live.
Excellent, excellent. Hector, thanks so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. You're the guy that actually got the call.
No, absolutely. Somehow I'm like, I have that kind of luck, so I'm just glad we had the opportunity to test out the technology.
Thanks, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, that was Hector Galvin, RJO Futures. Up next is going to be Jim Jones of Southwest Securities. It'll be a short segment, but we'll get right through it because, as you know, Jim can say a lot in one word. We'll be right back after these messages.